Hi
I'm,
guys.
I'm
Hi,
Michaela.
I'm Hannah. Welcome back to the Book Babes. Um, so it is October, second week of October. So this week we are doing our second thriller, kind of like spooky Halloween book. Super excited. Michaela, do you want to start?
I would love to. All right, so I read The Girl on the Train. Um, it was really good. So basically, and my brain is so bad, but so I can't remember any of their names, which I know is real bad. But um, it's about this girl who, well, she's a woman, but she has just been through a lot, and so she drinks, she lost her job, she rides the train every day, and she gets really attached to um, this family or this couple that she sees every day on the train from her little spot. And so every day when she rides the train, because she tries to fool her roommate into thinking that she still has her job and everything. So she rides the train into town and or where her old workplace was. And again, she sees this couple every morning. But the main character is a drunk. And so she obviously like has a hard time telling reality from, just her imagination. She blacks out a lot. Um, but one day she finds out that the lady that she's been watching goes missing. And then, as the story goes, you find out all of this information and you find out how, just how the main characters connected with, like, the person that she's been watching. And then you find out that that person was murdered, and there's all sorts of different suspects, and this person puts herself into the investigation. Like, the main character puts herself into the investigation because she's so attached to that family or to that couple. And you find out that the main character was married and got a divorce because her husband cheated on her, and that like plays a whole part. Anyway, the missing girl, you find out she was murdered, and it's between obviously the main character and two other people, and it's insane. Like, I honestly didn't think it was who it ended up being, if that makes sense. I think the closer the story gets to the end, you're like, oh my goodness, like, it just is great, and it builds up really well. The movie with Emily Blunt, I think her name is, the rendition of the movie, no, words, my friends, are hard to find. But The Girl on the Train that Emily Blunt is in is basically like the book. I mean, if you did not want to read the book, which I highly suggest reading it, but if you don't, the movie's fairly similar. Like, it's close enough to say that you could watch the movie and understand the book. But what's really nice is the book goes off of like every other chapter. One is the main character, and then one is the missing character. So it goes off of that, and so I thought it was a really cool take on the book, and I really like it. I definitely recommend it. Yeah. So again, that's The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. So go check it out.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it was really good. What's your book, Hannah, buddy?
Um, so this week I did Deep and Dark and Dangerous by Mary Downing Hahn. So it's like a super creepy cover. But Mary Downing Hahn, I've read quite a few of her books. She does like young adult ghost stories. So they're not gory or bloody or anything like that. They're very much like probably like 12 and up appropriate. Little kids might have nightmares, but once you hit like 12, I think you'd probably be fine. And she always writes ghost stories. So this one, she has a lot of books too, like a whole lot. I chose this one because it was the creepiest cover I could find. So I was just get real intense. So this book is about a 13-year-old named Allie. She lives with her mom and dad, obviously. And one day she is hanging out in her attic and finds like an old picture of her mom and her aunt when they were little. And she takes it down to show her mom. And it's her mom and her aunt and this other little girl. And she's like, who is that little girl? And her mom like refuses to talk about it. She tears the picture up and throws it away and is like, don't talk about it anymore. It didn't happen. We're not talking about it. So she kind of drops it. She doesn't really drop it, but she kind of like drops it for a minute. Her aunt comes over and tells them that she is taking her daughter, who's 4, to the old beach house that they used to have, and she's fixed it up, and she's gonna go there and spend the summer there with her 4-year-old, and because she paints. That's what she does for a living. She paints. So she's gonna go live by the seashore and paint in this old beach house that they used to go to when they were children, and they haven't been back in years. And she invites Allie to go with her. Allie's mom is like, no, not happening, but her dad like convinces her that it's okay. So Allie goes with them, kind of as like a babysitter for the 4-year-old, for her 4-year-old cousin, so that her aunt can paint and have time to work. So they get there and they hang out at the beach and it's all good, and they meet this girl named Sissy who lives around there, and Sissy kind of becomes friends with Emma but doesn't really like Allie, but she's not a very good friend. Like, she's a mean, bratty little kid, and she like tries to turn Emma against Allie, and then she'll turn right around and start calling Emma names and like telling her that she's being a baby, which she's 4. Like, yeah, she's a baby. So she like calls her names and tells her that she's being a baby, and it's just like a total brat. And all this stuff happens. Emma like leaves the house to go hang out with Sissy, doesn't tell anyone where she's going, and ends up like in the ocean. And Allie has to go save her because Emma's 4 and doesn't know how to swim, and like Sissy keeps putting her in all these dangerous situations and everything. And yeah, and so when Allie tries to tell her aunt what's going on, her aunt gets mad at her and is like, this isn't happening, stop talking about it. You don't know what you're talking about and everything. And it turns out that Sissy is a ghost. She's a ghost. Like, all of her story are ghost stories. So yeah, Sissy is a ghost. Sissy is the ghost of a little girl that Allie's mom and aunt knew when they used to spend their summers at the beach house. And they all went out in the canoe one day, and Sissy was playing around and being a brat, and ends up in the water, and she drowns. And she like blames Allie's mom and aunt for it, and so she tries to get revenge. She like tries to drown Emma to get revenge and all this terrible stuff. And she tells them that like they have to tell the truth or she's never gonna leave them alone and everything. And so yeah, it's a pretty spooky book. All of her books have really like wholesome endings. So it ends when Sissy tells them where her body is because it was never found. It's still in the ocean. So she tells them where her body is and they find her and they're finally able to like bury her and have a nice funeral for her, and she kind of just like drifts away peacefully. So it was good. It was spooky. It's a very spooky book. But her books are really like wholesome and they usually have happy endings, and they're like pretty much all children's books where there's like a moral to the story. And but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend Mary Downing Hahn. She's very good. Her books are like just creepy enough without being like actually scary. So I think they're good. Kids would like these. Probably teenagers. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know about you, but when books are too scary, I can't do it, or I have to read it in the middle of the day. But I mean, I work all day, and you work all day, so it's kind of like, where do you find the time to read a scary book in the middle of the day where I don't have to wait until the weekend to read it? So I'm glad that is like kind of it's geared towards younger people.
It is geared towards like young adults, and they have very like wholesome good endings, which is good because I don't want to read a story about children that die. Like,
yeah,
that's terrible. Why would I want to read about that? So it's nice that they have these like nice wholesome like happy endings. And I feel like it's also kind of like, I feel like it would be a good way for like maybe like early teenagers, like tweens, like 10 and up, kind of to kind of like answer some of the questions they have about death and stuff like that, because it's really hard to talk about. And it's really scary for little kids and stuff like that. And I feel like her stories kind of make it seem not so scary. Like, it all ends well, and it's gonna be okay. Yeah.
Sorry, my legs ran up.
Good.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said like you chose that book, because I didn't even know that author existed. So I'm glad, because especially during this spooky season, I love scary stories, but then I'm a chicken, so I freak out, and every little noise at night, I'm like, Carson, what was that? Are you okay? Do you think that was just Sully and our dog? And he's like, Michaela, go to bed. Like, stop. Go to bed. We're just fine. So yeah, I really like the early, like the young adult, not childish, but like teens, that type of scary story, because then all of the other ones, I'm like, nope, hard pass.
That's how I am. Yeah. And I mean, I talk about how much I like Halloween and everything, but it's too much for me a lot of the time. Like, I don't watch horror movies. I don't go to haunted houses. Like, it's too much for me. So this is kind of like a nice like bridge between like not doing anything spooky and like crying in a corner while my husband is like, Hannah, calm down. So like, it's this nice in between where I'm like, yeah, I can be spooky without waking up in the middle of the night convinced that there's like a serial killer in my house. So that happens often, actually. Like, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, today is the day I die. This is the end. Yeah. And there's nothing in the house. Like, oh well.
So I'm going out. in my pajamas. Like,
Yeah, like,
fantastic. No, I like going to haunted houses, and I like doing
I
that.
do not.
I think,
I've gone with you guys a couple times, but
yes,
it's not
I
a
think,
thing I do.
but too, I'm one of those people that some people don't like going to haunted houses with because I make a joke out of it. And so I laugh the entire time, but I feel like that's what we did when we went on a date together is we had the boys, like Carson was in front, I was behind Carson, it was you, and then Ryan was behind you. And so then you and I were just laughing up, like, because we were just having a good old time, and the boys were like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, stop. It's supposed
I
to be
took it so
scary.
seriously though. Like
I
when we went for your birthday to that like zombie one and everything,
know.
I was freaking out through the walkthrough. The only thing that made me feel better is when Dave, our father-in-law, he came around the corner at one and this guy jumped out at him and he like shrieked and I was like, oh good, it's not just me. He was like, ah, and I was like, oh good, it's not just me. Good. That made me feel better. But there was this portion of it where they gave you like laser guns
Yes.
and you had to shoot at zombies. And I have glasses and I can't see very well in the dark. I have like no depth perception. So then they give you these guns, and the only way they work is if you like hold them up so that you're looking through the sight. And Carson and Ryan are like, Hannah, you're not hitting anything. Are you even trying? And I was like, no, I'm not. Okay. Like, yeah, I can't. I put this sight up to my eye. I can't see anything. There's zombies everywhere. I'm just like, ah, trying to shoot at anything. And they're like, Hannah, you haven't hit anything. Are you even trying? And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to be honest. Like, nope.
I thought that was the coolest haunted
It
maze
was
we have gone through.
It was so much fun, but the boys were like, Hannah, are you gonna hit anything? And I was like, no, you don't understand. I cannot see. Like, I have to explain this to Ryan constantly, all the time. He's like, can we go to the water park? And I'm like, no. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because I can't wear my glasses and I will perish. Like, I will be going home with a stranger that I think is you because I cannot see. And so it's like this constant, I'm stumbling into things. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, Ryan, it's dark and I can't see, okay? I think you greatly overestimate my eyesight because it's actually terrible. Like, I can't see anything. So that one was, yeah, it was super fun, but the whole time they're like, are you gonna shoot stuff? And I was like, no, I don't know how. I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
I
no.
did too. It was like, so I go to haunted houses thinking it's a great idea, that I'm good, I'm going to be brave, but then I regret my choices. And like the entire time, I said to you the entire time, oh, really regret my choices. Not a good time. This is not okay. And then they do that little shrill thing where like, ugh. And I'm like, are you okay, friend? Like, that doesn't sound good. And then they try and talk to me, but then I have to like be like, oh, friend, no, like I'm good. Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks, pal.
I have bad experiences with haunted houses. So like the first like haunted house that I went to that was one with like scare actors and stuff like that. I don't remember going to any with my parents. We went like haunted places, like we toured the Queen Mary and stuff like that, but not like haunted houses. So the first haunted house I ever went to, I was on a double date. Um, my best friend Tyler, asked me to go on a double date with her, and my date like abandoned me. So it was Black Island Farms, which is in like Clearfield, Utah. I think they've moved it.
Yes, I think it's in Syracuse now.
Syracuse,
Syracuse,
yeah.
Utah.
So yeah, it was Black Island Farms, and it's like part house and part like corn maze. You go through both. And so she really wanted to go, and her date really wanted to go, and I was like, fine, whatever. So we're walking through, and a lot of it's just the normal like scare actors. There's like Freddy Krueger, and there was this one, it was like a trailer, and this guy had like a bunch of like creepy stalker photos up, and he was like, no, I don't know where your friend is, and I was like, no, goodbye. Like, but then we got to this part, and they had these like airbags, and you had to squeeze in between the airbags, right, to get through. I am super claustrophobic. Like, I cannot sit in the back seat of a car for extended periods. That's how claustrophobic I am. And I was like, guys, I can't do this. We have to go back. Is there an emergency exit? Like, I cannot do this. And my date was like rolled his eyes at me and walked through. And I was like, I live here now. That's fine, I guess. Like, I guess I'll just die here. So Tyler went in front of me, and her date went behind me, and like they held my hands and dragged me through the whole thing, and I was like, no, the whole way through. But my date just abandoned me. He was bad. He was a bad date.
What a jerk.
Right? Yeah, he was like, don't be such a baby. And I was like, you know what? Go away. Like, you're a brat. But yeah.
There was one maze. A guy I was dating, I think him and his brother worked there. I think so, on like the weekends or something. And we went there, and I was a little afraid. I brought a date, or no, I brought a friend for his brother. So it was me and my date, one of my close friends, and then this guy. It was good. Obviously, I was younger, and it was good. But the one part is like my date, he was closer to like my boyfriend at that time, but like, I don't know. But his brother told my friend on their first date that it was destiny, and that he just knew they were meant to be. And low key, he works at the same company as her now.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
she's
awkward.
like married, has a little boy, like cutest thing ever. And she sends me a Snapchat, and she's like, that's so creepy. I cannot do this. Like, I am so creeped out. And luckily he works at a completely different, like in a different building. He just had to get trained there. But man, and it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like that was scarier than the actual like date itself. Like,
Yeah.
his vibe, because the brother, obviously I wouldn't be dating a creeper, and well,
Well,
you get what I mean.
well.
So
That was for both of us, not just you. Like, that was.
I think we have the same person in mind. Because low key, before we knew Hannah, we actually knew the same guy who is not a good human.
Hit on
And he
both of
knows
us
who he
at
is.
the same time.
Yes.
And
Not
wait,
while Hannah and I knew each other.
no, we were in like high school. We hadn't even met yet.
Yeah,
I was older too.
I was graduated and she was still in high school. And so anyway, friends, fun fact. But yeah, no, the date was definitely a lot creepier than the actual activity we went on. But then my stupid head was like, oh, well, and stupid's a bad word. Don't say stupid. But my thinking was like, oh, I really like this guy. And oh, he has a brother, and I have friends who I want to go on double dates with. So I set him up with another friend. And I was like, Michaela, what are you doing? Why would you subject someone else to this? Huh? What is your deal? And they really liked each other though. Like they really liked each other. And so I was like, okay. But then again, he started being a creeper. He kind of chilled out, and then he started being a creeper again. And she's like, yeah, no, I can't do that. And I was like, friend, I'm so sorry. Sorry he's a creeper. His his brother's normal. Like, his brother's normal. So there's that. That was a long rant, but date creepier than the activity, which we literally went to a haunted, like, corn maze, and it's supposed to be a super creepy one, but there's that.
Yeah, long rant. We have more stories about everything. So
Many.
if you guys want to hear more stories, comment and let us know, because we have lots. I mean, we could probably talk for hours about all the things that we have done and the things that have happened. So if you guys like our random rants and stories, comment and let us know. If not, I'm sorry, you can stop the video like 10 minutes ago and get what we were talking about. It's a little late to tell you that, but sorry.
There you go. We'll start just saying, hey, end it here because we're going on a long rant. We'll just start doing that.
Get like 5 minutes into the rant before we remember to tell you, but if we get too many complaints, I'll just put like a timestamp in the comments or something. Like, if you don't want to hear random stories, pause here.
Well, and you know what? If you don't want to hear random stories, all of our videos are going to have it in there. So you can like us and follow us, but you don't have to watch our videos. Like, friends, we're good. So
I think that's all.
that is
So next week we will be doing our last separate October book. And then the week after that, we will be doing our book club. Just a reminder for you guys, if you want to join in on our book club, it is the 4th Friday of every month. And this month is Dracula by Bram Stoker. So if you guys want to join in on that, read the book, watch the video, comment questions, comments, ideas, if you hated it, if you loved it, whatever you think, and let us know. Bye. Okay, see you guys next week. Bye.